So, welcome again, beloved souls, to this very special edition, the Coming Home to You Sparkcast, where it's a sacred circle of remembrance, of love, and of connection. And today we gather not just as individuals, but as partners, as visionaries, and soulmates on the path of deeper intimacy and freedom. This episode, Coming Home to You, is an offering, and for me personally, a devotion. Like I said, today on my wedding anniversary, I wanted to honor the truth that relationships like us are always becoming. But before we begin, I invite you to join me in our one breath and one heart ritual, grounding ourselves in love and connection today. So find your seat, get comfortable, soften your shoulders, place one hand on your heart, or if you want, place it on your partner's heart. Yeah, on each other's hearts. And then if you can, the other one in your womb and your stomach. And now if it feels safe, you can close your eyes and just inhale slowly through your nose for 4 counts, bringing that breath up to your crown, holding it there. And when you exhale for 6 counts, just let go of anything weighing you down today. Now, when you take another deep breath in, I want you to think of something that you're grateful for today. Let that fill your being. And when you breathe out, smile with your face and smile with your whole body. It really helps to smile, to bring your energy up, to tell your mind that you're safer in this moment. Now, when you take another deep breath, I want you to stack another gratitude. And I want you this time to feel it expanding in your heart center. Feel it glow. And when you breathe out, send that gratitude out to everyone in this circle and all of those listening who need it most today. And now I want you to ground yourself in your intention today. How do you want to show up? How do you want to be held, received? And with that, we can now begin with one heart and one breath. Thank you. So this isn't just another conversation. It's a remembering. It's an honoring of that sacred dance between individuality and partnership, between healing ourselves and building a love that lasts. So today I'm joined by 4 powerhouse couples who embody leadership, devotion, and courageous work of love. So first we have Brandy Safran and Eric Antoinette, a deeply intuitive life coach, astrologer, and yoga therapist, alongside a relationship coach and anger management specialist. This duo teaches couples to break old cycles and rebuild on love, trust, and true connection. Please help me welcome Brandy and Eric to the show.
Excited to be here.
As now we have doctors Wendy and Neil McKenna. They're transformational leaders in life and sport. Married for over 2 decades, navigating the beautiful mess of parenting and partnership while helping families create extraordinary lives together. Welcome, Wendy and Neil.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Amazing to be here.
Next, we have Mayan Tran and Angus Scott, vision keepers of your epic love. These two turned their own heartbreak into a mission, guiding purpose-driven couples to release old patterns and co-create relationship rooted in passion, purpose, and legacy. Welcome.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
So exciting to be here.
And last but not least, Brittany and Esteban Lutz, a bold powerhouse in client leadership and a fitness and hormone strategist who's transformed thousands of lives already. Together, they help people step into their greatness through health, strength, and aligned living. Welcome. So grateful to have all of you here. Each of these couples know what it means to come home to themselves and to each other through joy, through pain, through purpose. And today, they're here to share that wisdom with you. So wherever you are, get your cafecito or your tea, whatever you drink, and turn off all your distractions. This is an episode that you do not want to miss. So welcome all. All right, so we're going to get started with the first question. And we always started with that rooted first moment that you decided enough, right? And you come home to yourself. So this first question is going for Brandy and Eric. So healing your wounds and to heal your relationship. Brandy and Eric, you really help people break old patterns and rewrite their own stories. So what was your personal healing journey? And what has it taught you about and how you address your own wounds and how that can transform the health of your relationship?
Thank you, Margarita. I'm going to talk first since Brandy wants me to go first. Ladies get to decide. What I can say about that, Margarita, is there was a long journey in terms of discovering what it is that I deserve in a relationship. And I went through several relationships that were not the best, to put it politely. I went through some abuse, some verbal abuse, some physical abuse in one relationship. I went through another relationship where I wasn't the priority in the relationship, or our relationship wasn't a priority. And I think for me, the healing in all of that was understanding what it is that I deserve out of a partner and what I deserve for myself, because it really took me to experience things that I knew I didn't deserve in order to really understand what it is that I do deserve. And that was a long journey and a lot of pain, and some hard lessons, which caused me to reflect and dig deep to understand what I wanted. Because on the one side, I was getting what I didn't want. And actually what I didn't want was actually showing me what I do want, or did want. And today, I am lucky enough to be with Brandy and to get all of the things that I really deserve. I am a priority in her life. Our relationship is a priority for both of us. And yeah, it took personal responsibility to understand that I deserve what I deserve, and to say no to what I did not. So that's my story.
Thank you, love. Yeah, my story, I got married when I was 21. I was really, really young. And I definitely did not take ownership in my part of the relationship. My expectations were beyond high. It was just like, more, please, more and more, and always projecting on the other, but not looking at my side of the streets, not realizing that I was also co-creating in this place of not being happy. I was just blaming, and being unhappy. So I was married for 25 years in that relationship. And it took a long time to leave that relationship and to realize that there is another way of love. There is another possibility of love. And what I really have learned is that it starts with me. How I choose to daily show up in love and in connection to my partner and to myself. That how I treat myself is also going to reflect how I treat my beloved. And the space between us, that how is that nonverbal communication? So often we think that it's only about words, but it's about also just our energy, our presence, how I'm showing up in a loving way. And caring for the other, not only caring for myself, but also caring all the time, checking in. And if there's something wrong, to make a point of really coming to maturity, of connecting heart to heart. How is this working for you, and where do we get to grow? Our relationship is one that is truly based on growth and on love and on full responsibility of how we show up responsibly for each other.
I love what you guys shared, and I connected with so much of it because I think the intention is huge. For me, one of the things when I hear this question, I look at, because I had 2 divorces in my past as well. What I had to figure out was, what was the story that I was telling myself? What was the belief that I had, or the lie that I believed, that was creating my relationship problems? And wow, I was the type of person who tried everything that I could try and was willing to do so many things consciously. Unconsciously, what was down below was guiding and creating the story of my life. And so when I learned some of those things that I believed, like, for one, I believed I would always be a disappointment. If I'm going to be a disappointment, no matter what am I going to manifest? What am I going to bring to the table? And so when I was able to finally find that lie and remove it from my belief system and heal that area, that allowed me to believe something else, step into a new identity, and then create a whole different potential future. One in which I was no longer attracting people who would remind me that I would be a disappointment, but somebody who could actually help me, call me higher. And I loved what you said, Eric. You consider yourself lucky to be in that relationship with Brandy. And I love that once I healed that part of me, I do feel lucky to be in a relationship with man, but we are lucky to have each other. And it was no longer, I'm down here and I'm lucky to have her. I now know I deserve her because I've stepped into that. And so that's, to me, that's the empowering thing. It's like when you figure that out and you heal that part, so that you know you deserve something great, now you can attract something great. And yes, there's that feeling of lucky, but there's also that feeling of like, we deserve this amazing relationship with this amazing person.
Yeah, I love your son just got married not too long ago, and the story that you heard from that's a great story. If you want to add that real quick.
Yeah, at the rehearsal dinner, there was a little buffet, and I was kind of at the back of the line, and I stood next to the bride's aunt, and I'd never met her before, and we just struck up a little conversation, and she said, one of the things I love about this is that it feels like they're both marrying up. And I loved that. It was such a compliment to me as a dad, but it was also like, yes, that's what you want in a relationship. You don't want to be like, out kicking your coverage. You don't want to be like really pulling somebody down to your level and trying to hope to get up to their level. You both want to be at that place where you're inspiring each other because you're growing and then they want to grow. They grow and then you want to grow. And that's what makes an amazing relationship, is when we're both striving to be the very best that we can be and uplifting each other to the very best that they can be.
I'll jump in. So going to the question, Margarita, it's that healing work that's been the most transformative. So I think back, okay, how can I acknowledge what was transformative? So I think of that, like the Rudy story. And like Angus had mentioned, I'd gone through a divorce. I'm going to call it an ugly divorce, and I went through my phase of blame, shame, guilt. And then I started focusing on myself, working on myself, and got to a stage of, how did I create that? I didn't have that 10 out of 10 relationship. I caused and I created a phenomenal atmosphere to cause and create an awful divorce. So how do I get to show up? So it was that awakening of like, I'm creating this. If I'm committed, if number one is I get to identify what I want. So being crystal clear on what I want, where before it's like, oh, I want to get married. I do. And that's it. What have you done for me lately? That was a previous belief, the stories that we create. Angus, I love how you shared that. And then it was identifying what do I really want, and then how do I get to create it? And like, we're committed to creating a 10 out of 10 relationship daily. It wasn't just stated at one point. And I would say that the last 8 years, throughout the entire year, I'm constantly working on myself, because I'm committed to showing up as a 10 out of 10 husband for her. Because I know if I show up that way, there's a high probability that that's going to create the environment to where we're doing that for each other as Man and Angus saying, we're leveling up. And I know that when I take care of me, so Brandy had mentioned that I take care of me, therefore I know I've got the energy to show up for my wife versus I'm exhausted. I had a long day at work. What are you doing for me now? It's like, no, I had an awesome time at work. And what do we get to do now? So when I don't take care of me, I'm showing up less than. So that's that. Those are a couple of things that I've learned along the way. But it was really that transition of stopping the blame, shame, guilt, identifying what I really wanted, and acknowledging that I've created what I've gotten. Whether I didn't like it or I love it now.
I didn't know if we had time for more, but I just want to acknowledge all of you for the growth that you've shared and the challenges that you've come through. I'm feeling very blessed and very lucky that the pain that I created for myself in a relationship was in college. And I got over it pretty quickly in terms of, well, I shouldn't say quickly. I knew that I thought I knew what I wanted. And then it wasn't that. And I ended up retreating into myself for 5 years to the point where when I was 24 years old, I thought I will never be giving enough to actually have a relationship that was worth, because I was so into me. I was doing my work and it was me and I was focusing on me and there was no possibility. I was dating and just nothing was working. And I was really starting to become afraid that have I been single long enough that I'm never going to be able to be in a partnership with someone else? Or are my expectations of me and us as a partner too big? Does it really exist? And then he came along.
Yes.
And it was like, it was so unexpected, not when I was looking for it. And from the first time that we spoke, I mean, we laughed because we were in the same, graduate school program, and we ignored each other for 2 years. And then after we spoke, it was like it took 2 weeks, and then we were talking about marriage and kids and when we get and being in love. And he met my family on date number 2. I mean, it was crazy fast after ignoring one another for 2 years. And it's really just been an up level from there. And a lot of our challenges in our relationship, really what's supported in any healing is that we are just honest with one another. We don't hide. We don't mince words. And it's not to hurt the other person or blame. It's like, okay, this is where we are. And we had a period where the same problem kept coming up every 6 months, and we thought we put a Band-Aid on it, or we thought we fixed it, and then it would pop up again. I'm like, okay, we haven't dealt with this. So I'm above my pay grade in the relationship area. So let's go get some extra support. So we did. And that led us into some couples therapy, which led us into the leadership training room. And we went together. And, one of the things that he said afterwards, and I don't know, the 10 out of 10 versus 20 out of 10. Do you want to say that, or do you want me to?
You can.
Okay, I'll do it. So after we went through leadership, he looked at me, he's like, we had a 10 out of 10. Like I had no doubt that it was a 10 out of 10. I didn't know a 20 existed. And so it just took us to another plane, and we're just committed to being honest, being on that journey, being on that path. And any healing work. I mean, we're a little bit off right now. I'm going to be honest, because that's the way we are. We do weekly date nights, and we have been off recently, and I'm committing right now. We're getting back on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This first question, I feel like we can go around and talk more about it, because what I heard was really how you show up in what you believe about yourself is how you show up in the world, and what you create in your relationships. Knowing, and then not just focusing on what you don't want, right? Because when we focus on what we don't want, that expands. So like really focusing on what you do want and what you deserve. And then just leveling up, and then being responsible for how you're showing up, I think was also a beautiful key point to bring out, because I think a lot of the times we want to place the blame on someone else. So, well, I did that because you did that. So I think it's important that when you honor and are responsible for your own action, your own part in it, you can really create connection. And what I love too is that being honest, but being in loving way. You can't just be blunt just because it's the truth, but being loving and respectful, I think can bridge that connection in a relationship as well and bring you closer. So thank you for sharing all those beautiful tidbits. And so this next question is going for the doctors, Wendy and Neil. So growing individually without losing connection is our next question. So you've been married for over 2 decades and built a life that really blends family, purpose, and partnership so beautifully. How do you continue to grow as individuals, spiritually, personally, professionally, without really losing your connection as a couple?
That's such a big question. It's such a good question. So we are, our love language is similar. We're both quality time humans, and then with a sprinkle of some of the others, obviously. And so when we first got together in 1999, so we've also spanned 2 centuries, not just a couple decades. We started dating in November of 1999, until we had our first baby in 2006. It was us. It was about who we are as a couple, and really getting grounded. And we were very intentional about not having children until we established a partnership with one another. And what does partnership look like? Hearing all the stories from people of like how kids can put monkey wrenches into relationships, or you think you are how you were, and you're being in partnership, but then the kids come and then you're an empty nester and you're like, wait, what have I got? Like, what happened here? What happened to our relationship as well as ourselves as individuals? And so going through all of that, we've been intentional about being in partnership, putting that in a high priority, but also, like the question asks, individually. And so we each have our individual, desires and gifts and places that we want to be, that we spent a lot of time doing those things together before the kids were born, because there was more time for us to do that. And then once the kids were born, what we found was some of the things that we were doing together, we started doing individually. And rather than seeing it as a loss, and you can also chime in, but rather than seeing it as a loss, we celebrated that we got to be partnership, we got to be parents, and we also got to be doing the things that we loved too. And I know I'm looking forward to the day, and it's not too far away. One's already in college, and another one's a senior in high school, and one just started middle school. But we do have more time together now. And we, after 25 years of wanting this and having a vision of launching a business together, we're launching it, and it's going to be launched next year in 2026. And so, which is super exciting, but we're already coming back in really intentional partnership, even while we're all, off doing our various individual things. And I would say my individual thing, if any of you here know me, has been leadership. Whenever I have a free moment, I am in the leadership training room. I am mentoring, I am captaining, I am up-leveling myself. I am now a certified trainer. And this is my space and place that, even though we did the work together, I chose to continue it as a profession, whereas, that wasn't necessarily your path.
No.
So
I kind of went the golf route with my buddies instead. Yeah, it was just, it's just that have that ability to just continue with your passions, and knowing, that, what I'm excited is knowing that we're going to have that time together where we can kind of spend a lot of that time that we kind of like divide and conquer with 3 kids. And we express our individuality. It's interesting because I have individuality by myself on, I play golf with my buddies. I have my way I am with my son. I have the way I am with my oldest daughter. I have the way I am with my middle daughter. And they're all different. And they're all kind of different components of my individuality. And we kind of are a great support system as well for each other. We have each other's back, and we know we just like champion each other's, successes and then the routes they're going. and look forward for when they come home and we reconnect as a family and get caught up. So I'm very excited as our kids are getting a little older, that we're going to kind of be able to do a lot of the things that we used to do a lot more before we were separated with 3 kids. So I'm very excited for that.
And one of the things about being a parent with you, which has been so fun, is that we see our kids so differently. We see our kids through our own individual lenses, and we really honor that approach. And so it's not like we need to be on the same page doing the same thing. It's as long as we're on the same page, loving and championing and supporting and empowering, we can do it our own ways. And the kids have very different experiences of each one of us because we've allowed ourselves to really do that, be individual with each one of them, and it works. And it's a really fun and funny dynamic that is just authentic. And that's really, I think, the key for us is being committed to our authenticity and our individuality and championing that the differences and what that can look like when you actually come together with a common vision, which is what we have.
One of the things that's jumping out for me, I like to call it the 4, but really 3 levels of, it's an oversimplified version of emotional maturity. And one of the things I see in so many couples is that one person wants the other person to be interested in the same things that they're in. Like Mayan tells a story about in her previous relationship, she'd read a book and then leave it on her partner's nightstand. You need to read this kind of a thing. And
never works.
It never works. Now, to the flip side, if we embrace something and we get turned on and we get lit up by it, and then our partner sees a difference, we can inspire them to maybe read something or listen to a podcast or something like that. But the inspiration is very different than the telling them to do something. And one of the things that I coach our clients on is what I call the 3 levels of emotional maturity. And the first one is not even really a level. It's an intolerance. Whatever you believe, whatever your strengths are, whatever you're interested in, I just don't care. To me, that's level 0. There's nothing there. The first one is an acceptance. Okay, I see that you're into that. Cool, great, awesome. Do you? That's level 1. Level 2 is respect. Oh, you're interested in that? That's cool. Okay, I can respect that. I respect your opinion. I respect where you're coming from. I respect that you're into that thing. And level 3, and this is where the individuality it really comes in, is that when I can appreciate and when you can appreciate me and my growth, now there's a power in that. So I might pursue something that you're not interested in, right? Or you might pursue something that I just really don't care about. But if I can come at this relationship from a place of, I want to appreciate everything that you're interested in, because if I can remember that if you're interested in it, you're passionate about it, you're going to go tackle this thing, learn this thing, it's going to add value to our relationship. It's going to bring something that I might not care about, but if I can appreciate it, now she's free to pursue it. Now, if she can appreciate what I'm doing, I'm free to pursue it and know that I'm bringing value back to the relationship. Because if we're the same, then something's missing. We shouldn't be the same. We should complement each other. My strengths should make up for her weaknesses. Not that you have any. Your strengths should make up for my weaknesses, which are abundant. But that appreciation, if we can stay grounded and intentional in that relationship, now there's an admiration. Now there's a gratefulness. Now there's just an undercurrent in our relationship of, you're amazing. You look for things and you appreciate things that I don't care about. And that brings such a level of value to me that I don't have to go and learn those things. You're going to bring me what I need to know. You're going to bring our relationship, our family, what we need to know in that area. Now I can focus on this other thing and bring some things in. And now we're both better because of that.
So good. Yeah, one of the examples that we use a lot is, because I'm kind of a fitness fiend, I just love to work out. And Angus, I think your schedule is maybe a little bit more packed than mine, but it's, it's the priorities aren't as high for me. And so you've really kind of taken that on and seen the consistency that I would show up at the gym, and that has inspired you to go into the gym more. And so you want to
Yeah, I think
chime in.
I think I was kind of abundantly blessed from a family that like nobody's overweight, nobody's ever counted a calorie, basically never read the back of any kind of box. It was like we just do whatever we want to do. I remember in high school, I played football, I wrestled. And the first time I heard anybody talking about calories, I was on a summer trip. We were in a bus going someplace. We had left a hotel and I had stuffed my pockets with these little prepackaged Danishes. And I heard these girls sitting behind me talking about calories. And I flipped over the last one and read that this little Danish had 1,700 calories. And then I realized I'd already eaten 9 of them. And then I ate the 10th. And then we went to In-N-Out and I crushed it. Like calories were just not a thing. Like I could just eat whatever I want. And yesterday we went to dinner with some friends and they picked this, like, it's Flower Child. It's a very nice, cute girl restaurant. But my buddy has a very restricted diet. And I told Mayan, I have the diet of a raccoon. Like I just can eat whatever. It doesn't matter. Uh, but that has given me kind of a lackadaisical approach to working out because like nobody in my family is overweight. We're all kind of fit. We're all borderline athletic. We have a good time. But I see her passion, her intention, her commitment to it. And it inspires me to want to stay better and want to press into that, even though it's not a high level thing in my value system. And so having that partner who does something and inspires, she's not out there telling me, you need to go to the gym. She inspires me because I see her do it. And now I want to partner with her. I want to keep myself in better shape because of how well she keeps herself in shape. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, I'll jump in for a minute. So I loved, Wendy and Neil, your conversation about champion each other. I heard that several times. And Neil, I also heard that little golf thing going on. So definitely Eric and I play a lot. And this year, more than ever, we have taken on things that I'm really, really not good at. I started boxing and I started to play pickleball. I've never played a team sport in my life. And he just encourages me. So that he champions me. I'm really the worst one on the court. I can't get the boxing moves, but I'm doing it so that we get to have that playtime. And we also have our individual playtime. He golfs, he does his own thing. I go dancing, I do my own thing. And then we create a lot of playtime and taking on new activities that we're both really not that great at, and have a good time. Just like have a good time.
Yeah, I would say we're just like an advocate for each other's growth and an advocate for each other's individuality. And I think that just brings a spice, like Angus said, it brings growth in yourself, and then you get to bring that back to your couple. And you obviously can't force somebody to be interested in what you're interested in, and if you are, great. If you're not, also great. But the growth is there, and that's what we encourage in each other. And so I love what you said, Wendy. We're really advocates for each other's individuality, and then we're advocates for us to have fun together as a couple as well. It's beautiful.
For me, because I'm not going to say for us, for me, my experience is I love to see her do things that she loves and enjoys. So that's one thing. It's the seeing her joyful creates joy in me. So I want her to do whatever it is that inspires her. And I feel that she is similar with me because I've never experienced us on the I'll use the term nagging, on the nagging. I can't believe you're spending that much time doing whatever it is. And I see us both. We have our Zen moments. I love to mow and be in my Zen. That's my podcast audiobook. For you, it's shoveling poop in the horse stable, in the horse barn. Like we have our own Zen times. I'm like, what do I love doing on my own that you don't? When you mentioned it, leadership, 8 years of continued volunteering and participating in leadership that brings me joy. And you're supportive of whatever it is that that I choose to do if we're not doing it together. And there's so many overlaps that we have that I'm like, that is my best friend. Holy cow.
We do a lot together.
A lot. Yeah. And and I love it. I genuinely do. And it's yeah.
I'm always telling you to like go get some guy friends and go do stuff, but I'm also okay if you don't, like, because we're always together and doing stuff together.
Yeah.
And our stuff always, I think, does overlap. Like, even when I'm in the barn, he's always with me in the barn. I don't know if he actually likes it, but he's always with me. And we're just talking and doing life together still.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy every second with her. So why wouldn't I do more? And I'm just thinking like you're redesigning what's that called? The coffee room, the library.
Yeah.
So she's extremely creative. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm just going to enjoy that she does that. I don't have to be part of that.
I love it. I think what I heard the most everybody share was really honoring your own individuality. And you can have individual relationships with your children and the people in your life as long as you're honoring and appreciating where they are and what they do. And what I heard too was that you are inspiring already just by who you're being. So are you inspiring or uninspiring? That is the question. And speaking of questions, thank you all so much. That was such beautiful. And I definitely took way too many notes on that last segment. So thank you. And this next question is going from Mayan and Angus. And it's about sustaining your epic love through life's seasons. So your work really centers on creating epic, soul-aligned relationships. What intentional practices do you recommend for couples that to keep their connection vibrant and not just in the seasons of joy, but when life gets busy, challenging, and emotionally distant?
Yeah, I hope to go back and forth with you because this is going to meander, but I would say several of you guys hit on something that I think we should really make concrete. First thing is that you have to get intentional about what do you want your relationship to look like. And I know we have conversations with so many people who just want to get married. And it's like, but why? Like what's the intention? And so many of them don't really think beyond that. It's like they have kind of a fantasy or something like that, but they don't have the intention of like, I want to build something with somebody. I want to create something that's amazing. I want to have, a passion. I want to have something that we're building together. And if you don't have that, without that intention, like entropy is a law for a reason. Like things are going to break down. And if you don't have that intention first, when you get into a relationship, it doesn't just naturally get better and better. Like that takes intention. It takes a vision that you want to create. So that's the first question that I ask really anybody that is a couple that might want to work with us or anything like that is, what is your intention? Do you actually want to have a 10 out of 10 relationship? Because I'm frequently surprised how few people do. Like most people are like, well, I just, it's like a 7 out of 10. It's good. It's fine. Like there doesn't seem to be a drive to make it great. And if that's their thing, then they're probably not on this podcast. They're probably not listening to this because they're just okay with the ho-hum, just the regular, normal, average relationship. But I believe that if you're here listening, you want that. Like you want that 10 out of 10, that epic love story that we talk about. So the first thing is that intention, creating a vision for it. And that's not just me talking, that's science. The Gottman Institute talks about the number one thing that keeps couples together is having a vision for the future where they're thinking long-term, they're building something together, they have a plan. So that's the first thing. You want to go next?
Yeah. So to build on that, because I think my idea, my answer is the culture of gratitude. And one of the practices that we teach our clients and we do ourselves is to have what we call a state of the love union. So actually it comes from the Gottmans and they call it the state of the union meeting date. And essentially you're going out on a date, and this is how we do it. We go on a weekly date, but during this date, we are very intentional about what we're talking about what we're covering. And we have a gratitude journal where we'll each put down the things that we are grateful for each other and for our relationship. And so each of us has like a list that we'll read to one another at the end of the date or during the date. And then at the end of it, we'll actually rate the relationship. So, okay, how are we doing? How's the relationship going for us on a scale from 1 to 10? And if it's not a 10, what can be done? What can I do? What can you do to bring it up to a 10? And that follows the vision of, okay, if we want a 10 out of 10 relationship, this is what we're working towards. And we're not there right now. And it's okay if we're not there right now. We just get to readjust. We get to realign. We get to look at what's in the gap. And so having that, combining that with the gratitude aspect of it can be really supportive, because if I'm just coming to you and be like, Angus, you're doing this wrong, please change, that's not gonna, you're gonna push back, right? And so creating that safety first, the appreciation, the gratitude, and then coming together and talking about the things that, okay, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I would love to, have us work on, that then creates the culture for change.
Yeah. That you can take a direct flight from here where we are in Phoenix to Hawaii. But during that flight, if you're just 1 degree off, you will end up 600 miles from your destination. So throughout that flight, the pilot has to make micro adjustments all the time, like probably hundreds of micro adjustments to get back on course. And if you're not taking that time to create those micro adjustments in your relationship, then that's where you end up 7 years, 10 years, 14 years into a relationship with somebody that you basically can't wait to choke to death because you didn't make those micro adjustments to bring it back to 10 regularly. So I think it's important what you're saying. It's not that you're just going to Disney, find each other, fall in love, and live happily ever after. You're going to find each other, and then you're going to build a relationship together that is intentional through those micro adjustments. And I'm proud to say that in all of our years together, we've never been under a 9. That doesn't mean that we're always a 10, but we're always aiming at a 10. And so if it's a 9.4, the question that I get to ask is, okay, what could I do this week to get us back to a 10? And that intention creates an aim. It creates a vision for, okay, this is what it would take to get us back to a 10. And when you're a 10, you're able to do so many other things. You're able to focus on so many other things because you know you're going to come home to somebody. One of my favorite things I tell people, and it kind of embarrasses me, but like I'm blessed to come home. Like there's no reason that I don't want to come home, because every time I come home, I have a little dog. Her name is Peaches. And as soon as she hears the door unlock, she like scoots around the corner and comes and runs and is pawing me, and her tail is wagging like crazy. And
she wiggles her butt.
Yeah, she wiggles her tail like her butt so fast. But somewhere like 2 years ago, man had seen this happen and saw the attention that I was giving the dog every time I came home.
I just thought it was hilarious if I did the same thing when he came home.
Yeah, so she now, almost every time I come home, unless she's on a call or something, the dog comes scooting around the corner, and then man comes scooting around the corner, and they're both just like wiggling their butts and so excited to see me.
We all laugh.
And do you think that makes me want to come home? Like, hell yeah, I want to come home to that. Like that playful, somebody's excited to see me. Somebody wants to spend time with me. Like that is powerful. I'm not telling you to go wiggle your butt, but like find a way of being that inspires your partner to want to be with you. They want to come home to you because they can't wait to feel that energy from you. So that's kind of a long way of reaffirming what you're saying. But I would say that the next thing is you get to define what that vision looks like. And so we recommend annual and quarterly relationship retreats. And I have a document that if anybody wants it, you can message me. But this is usually a 2-day event where you go through this list of questions and you answer them on your own. You get really clear on what do you want in all these different areas of life. What did you say you wanted 3 months ago that you didn't make happen, and why? Like what's behind you creating this vision and then not following through? And then at the end of that, when you've exhausted yourself and put that all in there, then you share it with your partner and they share it with you. And then we come up with a plan for the next 3 months or the next year. What do we as a couple want to create together? And so when you have that really clear aim, that really clear goal, it allows you to not only be aligned, but it allows you to aim at something instead of just drifting purposeless.
Yeah, so good.
Anything else? Any other?
I think one more thing is we talked about gratitude, we talked about intentionality, and also I think curiosity is really important in there.
It's a superpower.
And, before, whether it was Brandy or Wendy, you guys brought up, what do we bring to the table? Like, how can we be responsible for what we're bringing to the conversation or to the conflict or things like that? And I think one of the practices that, we teach our clients and do our best in embodying too is when we have a conflict, how do we get curious about, okay, what I hear, this is what you're saying, and why is it triggering me? Why is it creating some kind of, emotional charge in me? And then looking within to see, oh, you know what? This reminds me of the time that my dad did this to me or my mom did this to me. And this actually happened recently where I was joking. I like to do this to Angus where I tell him, oh, you don't like that. Sometimes I'll tell him, oh, you don't like this dessert because I want to eat all of it. But one time I said, oh, you don't like blankets because he gets hot, I get cold. So I was like, let me have the blanket. You don't like the blanket.
I don't even like blankets.
Yeah, you don't even like blankets. And that harmless statement triggered something in Angus, and you got kind of, you got your panties up in a bunch about it. And so I was like, what's going on? Because it's not just this conversation that's stirring that up. And
the Gottmans always say, like, the problem is never the problem. Like, the thing that instigated this thing is not the thing. Like, you're not fighting over the remote. You're fighting over control or power or powerlessness or something. Like, whatever it is, there's always something underneath that argument.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she rightly so. And I absolutely agree. Curiosity is huge, especially in the midst of conflict, because if you can get curious, you can reconnect. And hidden within every conflict is an opportunity for deeper connection. And we live by that. We believe that. Like, that's partially why our relationship's so good. Not because it's conflict free. It's that every conflict we have, we choose to partner and remember that the conflict is not between us. It's in front of us. And we are a team to solve that thing. And that's a fact for every couple. The problem is that we often in those relationships forget, and we think that you're the problem and you think I'm the problem. And now we're fighting against each other instead of remembering the problem is here outside of us. It might be inside of us, but it's not on the other side of us. And so when we can face it together and solve it, that's huge. And she did. She asked me that question, like, what's up? Why is this coming up for you? And this might sound silly, but I'm going to tell the silly story because I believe that most of our conflicts, most of our problems are silly if we can look at them from the right perspective. But I realized as I got curious and introspective that I remember purple being my favorite color. That sounds ridiculous. Like, where am I going with this? But I remember it because I said it a lot of times growing up. But I said it a lot of times growing up because I remember my mom telling me it was my favorite color. And I was never honest with myself to go, like, why do I keep saying purple is my favorite color? Like, is it my favorite color? Like, I don't really remember it being my favorite color, but I know my mom has always told me from a very, very small age that purple is my favorite color. So all through grade school, whenever people ask you that, all the boys are saying blue and all the girls are saying pink or purple or whatever. And I was always purple. But I remember questioning it even then. And then I realized as she and I were having this conflict, like, I don't like being told what I like and what I don't like because I'm resistant to the fact that somebody at some point told me what I liked and I didn't like. And I didn't know, and I didn't have a voice to say, I don't like that. That's not my thing. Like, I like red. Like, red is my favorite color. But I didn't have the voice to say that. And so now I have an abnormal reaction to somebody else telling me what I like or don't like. And that came up. Like, she became the target of, you don't get to tell me what I like and what I don't like. It's silly, but those types of things happen a lot. You step on what I call a landmine. You didn't know it was there. You're just making a funny joke. I kind of, I'm not a violent person, but I kind of blow up on the inside of, like, you don't get to do this. You don't get to treat me that way. It's not what she did. It's that I had something inside that hadn't been looked at, hadn't been acknowledged, hadn't been honored, hadn't been dealt with. And so when something comes up inside of a relationship, when there's that triggering event where you feel an unnormal amount of emotion rise regarding a conflict, the best thing that we can do is hold space for our partner instead of attacking them or getting defensive, and get curious. What's going on underneath? Why is this creating this emotional response from you? Can we look at when's the first time that you felt that way? And through that exercise, you can frequently get to the bottom, to the root of things. And then you can deal with the actual surface level problem, because you might have a real issue that you get to solve. But if you don't solve the one underneath first, it's going to be really difficult, because you're actually trying to solve all of those issues through this one little thing. And that's where so many couples get frustrated, because we're just trying to solve this. No. You're actually unconsciously trying to solve all these things. And that's nearly impossible.
That was good, man. I have a request. Can you wiggle your butt? And we'll see how I respond to that. Thank you. Like that's that. I'm taking that one for the rest of my life. That was the best.
No pressure, Brittany. No pressure.
Gosh.
That's all I know. Okay, so
all that I said, that's the only thing he's like been thinking the whole time. Yeah.
I was anchored on that one, man. I'm like, dude, thank you. Yes.
I just thought everybody.
That's all her creativity and her humor right there. I love it.
Well, I'll let you know how I respond. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I'll respond.
I'm not sure I want to know, but I kind of do.
All right. So when this question's asked, I'm like, that's a great question. So I've got 4 steps that I've come up with, but I also want to share that, like, my mom was a blue ribbon champion with rose bushes. And just because you plant a rose, does that mean that you're going to win a blue ribbon? No. So that was an analogy that came to me as I'm like, what are the rituals? So number 1, May and Angus, you've mentioned this a couple of times. What do I want? I want a blue ribbon rose bush. I don't want one with a bunch of weeds on it and just kind of like withering and dying. So I'm like, okay, being clear on what I want, a 10 out of 10 relationship. And the only thing that I know a 10 out of 10 relationship looks like is my experience in the past. So number 2, my mom is part of a club that has other blue ribbon champions. Then she hired somebody to support her and guide her on what is it that you do to create the environment, cultivate it, and grow a championship rosebush. I hope you guys listening and watching are picking up the analogy here. You're welcome. So what I've come to acknowledge is I get to surround myself with couples that are what I perceive to be a 10 out of 10. So it's at one phase of my life, I'm like, you can't influence me. There's like, I'm stronger than that. And I look back at my past relationships, plural, and I'm like, whoa, I created all of that. So yes, I am influenced. So unless, and this is true to us now, unless couples are a 10 out of 10, and me definitely with men, if they dishonor their wife or talk, I'm going to say junk of their wife or their spouse, I'm not spending time with that guy. I'm going to be influenced that way. And it's, I will not allow that. So it's like, no, those are weeds that we don't get to put around this championship rosebush. And I'm committed that it's going to be a blue ribbon championship rosebush. So a coach and a mentor are key to my life. You get to share what's key to you. So what do I want? Surrounding myself with a coach and mentors, and you guys, to me, you're genuinely, you're my mentors. You're part of the tribe of like, how do I get to show up as an awesome husband? By the way, I have that written behind this camera here. So it's a trigger. It's a reminder of like, okay, how do I get to be awesome for her right now? Number 3 is genuinely investing in myself. I wake up and I go through my daily scripture. I pray. And so that grounds me spiritually. I eat a specific way and I do exercise because I know the physiological and psychological effects of, Angus, when you work out, there's these myokines that are released, these hormones. Just saying. Love you, buddy. And I know that because I've invested into my body, I'm not showing up as 20% or 80% for her. I'm showing up as 100% of what God created me to be like. So I'm not less than, and that's all she gets. She's getting leftovers. She's getting less than. So I'm like, that's gonna not create a blue ribbon championship rose bush. And then step number 4, so I invest in me so I show up as a greatest self. 4 is what's important to her. I don't know about shaking my butt. I'm going to try that one. Foot rubs for sure. I figured that one out. Foot rubs totally work. So I get to be strong enough because after a minute or two, it's like I need these strong muscles. Totally get that. So it's looking at it. The rituals and habits is I've broken it down into those four pillars, so that I'm constantly investing. But the knowing if I'm going to Hawaii, knowing what my North Star is really important, because am I creating what gets to be created? So we're constantly in that direction, and it's something that I would say we're not there, and we're always striving for. Because some people will be like, "Oh, you guys are a 10 out of 10," and I know that there's always a higher possibility. So it's like, what is a higher possibility? I'm curious. If this is awesome, I want to know what awesomer is. That was a word. I learned that one in 3rd grade.
Summer. I think what I would add, and I mean, you mentioned it too, like growing up, we're a big Christian family. So for me, I was raised, and I believe putting God first in everything. It'll be God, and then it's going to be us. And I know if I'm ever not our 10 out of 10 in the moment, I know that's something I need to go work on with myself. So I just go away and have my time with God and then come back. And I think everything you do for yourself has definitely helped me in a way. Just seeing how you invest in yourself and like what it actually should look like. And like you said, you're always still learning and trying to be the next level. That helps me a lot.
Love it.
That's awesome. And if you add that butt wiggle, increase
That's magic.
giving up.
The cherry on top.
I just want to add that I did that one
Wisdom.
time. My husband came in and I got super excited to see him because we have a dog too that does the same. And he was just like, wow, I love this welcoming. I want to come home to this all the time. And I was it does work, guys. It does work. I'm just saying.
Well, again, I'll let you guys know. We'll do a live for sure.
Do it live.
I'm just not going to do it by your rose bush, though. That might be a little bit thorny.
We'll jump in for a second to share a little bit about ritual in our lives. So I'm an extrovert and Eric is an introvert. And so finding that balance as well, one of our daily habits is meditation together. And it is really learning. I would say maybe similar to prayer, right? It's done in silence. Well, for us, it's done in silence. And it's cultivating that space of just energy between us, that higher space where it allows for silence. And I think that sitting in sacred silence together really nourishes ourselves, and taking that sacred pause creates that sanctuary for us as a couple. That's one of our rituals, and I'll let Eric share another.
And the other one is our bedtime gratitude list. And every night before bedtime, I can count on it that Brandy's going to ask me, what are the 3 things that you're grateful for today? And we get to share that. And I also use it during the day. So, if I notice that, I'm off or Brandy's off and we're not in a space of gratitude, it's okay. How can we come back to that space, and what can we count as blessings in our life right now? Because sometimes we go down the rabbit hole of negativity as well. And it's like, okay, I remember now. We are also blessed, and we have a lot to be grateful for, including each other and so much more. So,
and that's a must. We do not go to sleep without sharing out loud those 3 things.
Huge.
Thank you.
And Man and Angus, thank you so much for your share. It reminded me, I just got a really big visual of people in our culture who think that if they check off the boxes of the things that are supposed to bring you happiness and you do them, that you're then going to be happy. And you just brought up again that No, there is work, but work doesn't need to be hard. Work is joyful, it's playful, it's fun, and it gets to be done. And it's, that degree shift consistently so that you're not off base. And so, I acknowledge you guys for living that, for inspiring it in others. And it's just really fun to see that when we can be in vision, know what we want, why it's important to us, and just stick to it, commit to it, and create whatever ritual or habit. Like, we can create anything. And so when I think about us and, rituals or habits, I'm inspired by the rituals and habits that each of you have shared so far, because we really don't. To be honest, we really don't have like a daily thing. I mean, I remember our pediatrician when our first daughter was born, she's like, okay, so next week you're going to go out on date night, and then you're going to go on date night once a week. And we're like, what are you talking about? We've been together for 6 years. We totally know one another. We don't need to go out on date night. And like, we have our new baby, and we would never give it to a babysitter. And no, so this is for the first 2 years. So our baby's 2 years old now. And then we have our second baby. And she was born, and we brought her home, and we're like, can we go date night tomorrow? Please, date night gets to start tomorrow. And so we understood at that moment that when it got so big and so overwhelming, and we started to kind of, get off course with one another, and also we realized and recognized so much of our energy just went to the babies, that no, like, we get to nurture us. And so then we started, was it 2008 is when we started weekly date night. So we have been on weekly date night since 2008. We got a little, interrupted by COVID, but then we got creative for what that got to look like. And really, it's been this year that, 2025, that for some reason we got off course. And I'm really excited to be here today, because we've been talking about doing it again, but we haven't really gotten back on course. And so I'm excited to get back on course again.
Yeah.
Get to.
I know. Yeah. And then, did you want to add anything?
I think one takeaway which was great is stressing the importance of gratitude.
Yeah.
And I do think I guess technically we'd be considered a long-term relationship at 23 years, which to me doesn't sound like it, but it is. I think gratitude's hard to just, because I think it's easy to take for granted. And at least just something came up for me, and something that I'm learning is, if I say I love you, to me, that's my way of expressing gratitude. But I think there's a way to be more specific and actually say why I love you instead of just I love you. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Love it.
Yeah. And our dogs too like to shake their butts. So I know that the butt waggle works. I've tried it before, but not at the front door. So I'm excited for that. And no, I just inspired by each of you to support us in getting to our next level as well.
Love it.
I can see being playful as really a superpower in the relationship. And what I heard that stood out for me was definitely keep dating each other, because you can get lost if you have children, especially in the parenthood. And without nurturing your relationship, you're really kind of losing and forgetting why you're together sometimes even.
Well, even I'm just going to interrupt. Children are one thing, a business is another thing. And especially if you're in business together, it can be really difficult to put the business down and just have the relationship. The business can be all consuming sometimes. We'll go on a date, and all of a sudden we're talking about, oh, we need to create this, and we still have that. It's like, well, pause. We'll deal with that tomorrow. Tonight is about us. And so I just want to put that out there. So many people want to have that partnership as part of their relationship, and it's amazing. But you get to pause that, and you get to prioritize each other as individuals and as a couple instead of just business partners.
I love that. It's so great. You guys really are giving a direct blueprint on really how to level up to a 2020. It's not a 10-10 anymore. Thanks, Wendy. It's a 2020 now. So like, I'm going to be watching this on repeat, especially on the times that the seasons of conflict come in, because you guys gave a lot of really beautiful rituals that seem practical, doable, but I loved that you really prefaced of the being and not the doing, shifting into your feminine, divine energy. is where connection and wisdom, I mean, your body has that wisdom already, and you know what you want if you just stay still and listen long enough. Um, yes, so that was beautiful. I mean, I felt like I was going to cry at one point during this. So, so thank you so much. I know that this is going to be serving so many couples out there. And I love that you really talked about not just as parents, but as business, because it is true. Separating the business and the relationship can really foster that like desire for each other. Keep that fire flaming. Is what I heard. That can really benefit from that. So thank you so much. This next question is going to Esteban and Brittany, and it's about leading with love when things get hard. And I know we talked about rituals and how to stay connected, but there maybe it's different answer. I'm hoping. So Brittany and Esteban, you work with high performers and bring strength and strategy into the relationships. So what does it look like to lead with love, especially when the relationship is in season of stress or conflict?
I'm going to go back to just being crystal clear on what you want. So when she and I know what we want, then we're clear on we're in that direction or we're not headed to that direction. And it's no different with our clients. It's I like to pose it in three questions. What do you want? And you get to be crystal clear with that. So many individuals know what they don't want, yet they're not clear on what they do want. And it's okay to at first not really know. It's like, well, Angus, I believe you mentioned this. I want to get married. Why? Because that's what everybody does. I don't know. So it's, what do you really want? And if our clients are stuck in the I don't want this, that's awesome. It's identifying, okay, a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, what is that going to create if we keep going in that direction? And I put myself in that with us. We were talking about this yesterday. Or was it this morning? How long are we not in a 10 out of 10 relationship? I'm like 7 minutes.
We try.
Yeah,
if we ever get out of it.
Yeah, and it's because we're clear on what we want for each other.
Yeah.
On that, then why is it important to you? And I think that is individual for everybody, based on our perception, our stories, our experiences. We're clear on what we want. Why it's important to you? It's individual. It's individual to your heart. So bringing that why makes it real. Makes it real for me and for our clients as well. Makes it real. We work on a physical transformation. There's many tools that support that, from what's the proper sleep or hydration or rebalancing the hormones. Definitely the strength training. But that's cute that we're doing all these activities. Why is it important for you to create a 10 out of 10 of your body so that you can show up as a 10 out of 10 in the relationship? And then it's for me, it's really identifying, okay, when I'm not a 10 out of 10 or when we're not a 10 out of 10, like what's really getting in the way? So it's like, okay. And it's different for each one of us. For me, it's past stories. Well, you really don't like the blankets anyway. I love how you guys shared that. And then boom, I get triggered into my 5-year-old version. It's like, oh, that has nothing to do with whatever triggered me in the moment. So to be able to ground myself, I don't think I could have done that or could do it now had I not gone through developing myself and seeking out coaching and seeking out mentorship so I could learn, hey, Esteban, there's going to be moments a lot every day where you're going to be triggered and your toddler version or your teenage version is going to kind of take the reins. So you get to identify that and you get to reground yourself and get back on that North Star. The way you posed a question on the hard moments without disconnecting from love, when we're clear on the 10 out of 10, the North Star, that's where the disconnect doesn't happen. because I've got that the analogy used of we're flying to Hawaii. If I've got the GPS set, I'm not disconnected. I may not be on target, but I'm not disconnected. I just get to make a little tweaks, and I would say it's different what the tweaks are for you than they are for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like how to answer this one. I do think it's take a step back and self-reflect, almost like with the blanket analogy. Like, I feel like I have more of that. Where you'll say something and it like triggers me, and you instantly, like, instead of letting it boil up or just letting it go, like automatically you're like, what's going on, or like what's triggering that? And then I have to take a step back and be like, oh shoot, like, okay, what is the real problem? Just do a lot of self-reflecting. And
Yeah, I'd say with that, if we hadn't worked on ourselves, if we hadn't
Yeah.
gone through coaching to understand that we can communicate that way, again, I'll speak for myself. In the past, I would have blown up. Like, what do you mean you're asking me what's triggering that? You're triggering that. So now I believe we've done enough self-work to acknowledge, like, oh yeah, it's not the blanket. What the heck is triggering that? So I would say it was really important for our growth to go through the leadership and continue going through that, and continue to have mentors and a tribe that represents the North Star to us. So we're grounded on what does it really look like to be the 10 out of 10 or 20 out of 20 in that relationship. That's all you got?
for right now, I know something's going to come up.
Yeah.
So we're happy to jump in. For me, it's all about the sacred pause. So Brandy and I are really good at being in alignment with how we want to be in our relationship, and then noticing when we're not. And that's when we use the sacred pause to really pause and reflect and stay in connection and love, because it's really just an awareness that we're not. And how can we stop to get back to where we want to be, and what's underneath it for me. So like you're talking about, Esteban, you have to do the work to understand, how am I not loving myself in this situation, and what is it that I need? Like what's coming up for me, and it's not about fighting about the problem. It's about understanding what I need from that situation. So I like to say, it's not what we're fighting about, it's what we're fighting for, and we're fighting for something. And when I understand what that is for me, and I can actually put myself in Brandy's place to understand what that is for her, then now we're really in love, and now we're really powerful in setting a direction for where it is that we want to go in our relationship. So that's how we do it.
Yeah. And Esteban, I loved, you kept using the word ground. And so for me, when you use that word, it's like we get to be regulated in our nervous system. So that we could only connect if we are regulated. So if I am dysregulated and Eric's dysregulated, it's not going to work. We're going to be on the defensive and attack. So that sacred pause is in order to be regulated in our own nervous system. And when we come back, another thing is also choosing a time to come back. Like at one point, Eric, when we were in an argument many years ago, he didn't give me a time when we were coming back to the conversation. So it's like, okay, I'll get back to you in an hour, or I'll give the person a time frame to reunite in a grounded state. Is this a good time, or do you need more time? And another also mode is also just recognizing each other and taking a breath together. Again, coming from a place of innocence, coming from a place of connection that is nonverbal, because our bodies know each other and there's love between us. So just even taking a pause, holding each other's hands, or taking even a hug before we go into the conversation. So there is that co-regulation. Nothing works when there's disconnection to ourselves, to each other, and to our own grounded, like you said, Esteban, that grounded state.
Now we can shake butts too.
And wiggle our butts. Sometimes, right? We got to wiggle our butts in order to regulate our nervous system. Part of the list, for sure.
I love it. I love it so much. I definitely, I connected to so many of the things that you were saying, Esteban. And for us, one of the things that we do, you've already heard us say that we believe that hidden within every conflict is an opportunity for deeper connection. But I would also say that sometimes we come into relationships thinking we want just that like perfect, peaceful relationship. And I actually believe that we attract a partner into our life to show us the things that we're still carrying around, the things that we've pushed down, repressed, ignored, and hope nobody finds out. And so we get to remember that our ideal partner is not somebody who just makes the lake smooth sailing all the time. There's somebody who's going to come in and step on those things unintentionally, but intentionally because we attracted them to do that. Our unconscious mind wants to resolve those issues. And so your partner is not coming in just pushing every one of your buttons to make you mad. Your partner is coming in pushing those buttons because you have those buttons and there's still something attached to them. And so I want to honor Mayan because I truly believe I've never met a more emotionally mature, like self-regulating person. And even when she does kind of have that emotional, not outburst, but like a significant emotional event, I've never met somebody who can basically regulate themselves so well, look and be introspective, and then actually deal with the issue when it's inside of her. She knows how to release it, and it's amazing. And I will say that some of the things that I've learned over the years can help her get into that. There's a beautiful song I love, and it says that the guy who's singing, he says, "I want to be the banks of your river." And I've embraced that because I don't want to in any way stifle her or anything. I want her to flow. And sometimes that river is going to be peaceful and sometimes it's going to be a torrent. But my job as the masculine energy is to hold that space and to channel it in a healthy way. And one of the things that I did, I'll share this with you guys. I think you'll all appreciate it. So many of our clients have used this, but I call this the Curious Protocol. And so it's an acronym for a way to move through those challenging times. And so C stands for calm. Like when your partner is triggered, I get to remain calm and thoughtful. I get to be that solid place that she can rage if she needs to. I don't have to embrace that. I don't have to tell her to calm down. I don't have to like regulate her. I just get to be the example of regulation. U stands for understand. Seek to genuinely understand where your partner's coming from. R is to build rapport. Rapport is huge. If we're defensive, we're not building rapport. If we're attacking back, we're not building rapport. Building rapport is like, I want to be on the same page as you. So what do I need to do to like get connected with you in the midst of this? Matching and mirroring. There's other things that you can do from a psychological place to just let her know that you're in this with her. And then identify your part. This is probably the most powerful thing. That doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. But if you don't look at yourself and go, what did I do to contribute to this? As soon as I can do that, now she's not going to necessarily continue attacking or lashing out. She's going to see that I'm trying to meet her on a certain level. O, offer an apology, amends, or forgiveness, whatever process is necessary for you to own your side of the street. And then this is the most dangerous part, but it's also the biggest opportunity, is to uncover the deeper rooted issue. There's an opportunity for you to say, it seems like there's more going on than what's appearing on the surface. What is this reminding you of? When's the first time you remember feeling this way? What's the emotion that's underneath this? And if you can do that in a patient, understanding, seeking to understand type of way, that's when she has the opportunity, or I have the opportunity, to figure out what's really down there. What's at the root of this? And then the last one is, it's really twofold: solutions and shifting. Solutions is what can I do going forward to provide an opportunity for this to not happen again? Or what is it that we can do to solve this problem? But maybe the most important is shifting. For years, I was so empathetic. I was so codependent that if you weren't feeling good, I had to not feel good too. And so even though we would address it and say sorry and all that kind of stuff, the energy would just hang. And sometimes this argument, this fight, this discussion would hang for years, or not years, weeks. But when I learned how to shift, and that can be through humor, it can be through playfulness, it can be through a lot of different ways, but shift out of that energy and get back to things are great. So Esteban and Brittany, I honor you for saying 7 minutes. That's incredible. My goal is 20, that no matter what we experience in 20 minutes, we're back to better than we were before. And like actually thankful that the thing came up, thankful that we had this argument, that we had this conversation, because now I have the opportunity to heal that thing and be better than we were before it even happened.
Love it. So one of the examples that we often use, and it's silly, but I think sharing examples and stories allow people, like, help us learn. And so one of the stories that we used, because this was one of the first examples where we saw this curious protocol really come into play, was I do you remember the story then about the slamming doors?
Oh, I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were going to talk about the parking lot.
Oh,
that's a good one too.
That too. But maybe the slamming door one is a good example of this. But so I used to, well, how do you normally start this, George?
Well, about 5 different times we had a little bit of a rise in the energy in our home. And it was because the door would slam. So that door sometimes slammed because I was absent-minded and closed it. Sometimes it slammed because I was carrying the groceries in and the wind closed it. But like at no point was I angry when I allowed the door to slam behind me. But each time I would hear and kind of like get it, like, hey, don't slam the door. I didn't slam it slammed, but I didn't slam the door, kind of a thing. And I get defensive. And after about the 5th time, I realized, oh, there's something here. Like there's something going on. And so we were walking the dog and she's like worked up. And so I used this protocol to stay calm, to seek to understand. I built rapport. I owned that I let the door slam. I offered an apology for that. And then I asked her, like, it seems like this is the 5th or 6th time that this has happened. Can you tell me what's going on? Like, what comes up for you?
Yeah. And when I looked within, it was like, you know what, growing up, whenever doors were slammed in our house, it was because somebody's mad. Like I was mad, I was angry, or okay, I'm the somebody. So I would slam the door when I was really upset at my parents or my sister. And so that association was within me. And every time I would hear the door slamming, it would trigger like, oh, we're not in a happy home. Like there's something going on here. But I didn't really know that. All I knew was that there was a loud slamming door and I didn't want that.
And if you remember at the beginning, we talked about the story. That was her story. She attached a meaning to the sound. And so when the sound happened, it would immediately trigger an unconscious response that would remind her of that story that told her we were in an unhappy home. I didn't know we were in an unhappy home. I wasn't trying to create an unhappy home. As the man, do I ever want to be or create an unhappy home? No, absolutely not. So I get to own that what I did created that for her. And then I get to ask very carefully, conscientiously, intentionally, gently, what's underneath that. And so once she was willing to look at that, which, like I said from the beginning, she's amazing at that. Oh, this does remind me of that. Oh, okay. Now we have release work practices that we're really good at and then we help people with. But she's so good at like, I get to do this. I get to go release this stuff. And so since then, it's not an issue. And it's amazing when we can find those things that we've been carrying around and buried and we can uproot them. And now we don't have to carry them anymore. Now it's not a thing anymore. It's just I like to call them our origin story. That's where she came from. It's not who she is anymore. She left it in the past by letting it go. And now she's a freer person because of it, because of us, because the relationship exposed the thing that she was carrying around and she did the work to release it. Now she doesn't have to carry it anymore.
Wow.
Thank you for the
Beautiful. I
acknowledgement.
love the curiosity. Oh, did you want to say something, Anne?
I was just gonna say thank you for the acknowledgement. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Make it easy to be in a relationship with. So
I love it. No,
I love that you guys are actually modeling connection. It's amazing.
yeah, no, it's so good. So good. I
I
love
always
the
like to say
curious
that we are
protocol.
my favorite couple.
There you
Like
go.
I love it.
That's awesome.
I love the curious protocol. It's so fun, and I think, puts steps on something that I think that we've often done unconsciously. For me, I very simply, and I remember, as the kids were growing up, reading all the books and all the acronyms and all the methods and all of the, scripts that you say when this happens or this happens. But then when you're in the moment, it's like, what did I read? Who was this? How do I be? And it wasn't really my voice. And so, like, for me, it's just my own, like, piece of the curious protocol is just taking it, like what Brandy and Eric said, that sacred space. And for me, it's a breath. Like, it really is like breathing, like just taking that big breath. Margarita, we started it at the beginning, just taking that breath to regulate ourselves, and to regulate myself if I ever feel, triggered and activated. And then as I'm taking that breath, I consciously remember who we are and what we're up to and what the vision is, and that he's my guy no matter what, and that we are epic, and that we are just in a spot right now. And it's not who we are. It's like, and I can't remember who said it, it's outside of us. And the problem is not really the problem. It's not between us, it's outside of us. And so for me, love is a given. I never question that we would ever be disconnected from love. Like, it is like, I trust that with 100% of my heart, soul, body, spirit. So even when we're in the hard moments, or if we're like this with one another, love is there. We may not feel it in the moment, but I trust it. Like, no one's walking out. No one's, doing something irreparable to the relationship. But just constantly reminding myself that we chose each other and we continue to choose each other every day, and understanding why, it really supports me in seeing that this is silly. This is not a big thing. And this is just a 1 degree shift that gets to get us back on track again. And so that's what I do if I ever get activated or triggered. And there are a few things that do, you know, do that. You. So, but that's what I do. I don't know what you do.
Well, I think goes back to, we're committed to each other, and we know we love each other. And, I admire Wendy. I admire a relationship. And it's one of those things that there's a frustration that could come out immediately, but I know the base and the foundation that we are built on, it's there. So I just give it myself grace to just get through my frustration, just give it a little time, because I know that I'll try to figure out what's going on with me. And I will admit, Wendy's a lot better at helping me find that out than I am myself. So it's where I have complete trust that when we, don't agree on something, or, we butt heads, that we will just be stronger for that. And it's just, I have trust and faith that it will continue to work out. So I don't know how it will look every time, but we get there.
We always get there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I want to share, Neil, you just said something that came up for me that I'm realizing it's so ingrained in me that I didn't even mention. You mentioned we're committed to each other. And one thing that I heard that stood out to me in my growth is, are you committed to our North Star, each other, or are you committed to being right? So going to the question of navigating through hard moments, my experience of myself in the past was I was committed to being right. And if I'm right, that means you're wrong. Now I'm committed to us. It's not about who's right, who's not right, or it's us. It's about us. So I love how you shared that we're committed for each other. We're committed to us. And until I heard that, or I was coached on that, it was not even an acknowledgement within me. It's just like, You're right. Well, if she's right, then that means I'm wrong. I'm right. If I'm right, that means she's wrong.
I feel like that's normal for a lot
Yeah.
of couples.
Because that's what they've been taught.
Yeah.
It's who's the tribe. I didn't hear any one of us mention that. So this tribe, to me, showing up in the we're committed for each other versus we're committed to being right. And as you share that, I look back on my previous people that I'd be around. Yeah, it was she's got to be right. I've got to be right. But my tribe, our tribe today, that's not even part of the dialogue. So I think for people watching or people listening, they may not be fortunate to be in a tribe like we are here. So that was a huge learning and acknowledgement moment for me when I got to that.
One of the people I respect very much talks about, if you think winning an argument is important, you need to remember that makes your partner a loser. And nobody wants to be in a relationship with a loser. So that breeds contempt. Contempt is the number one, basically what the Gottmans call the number one horseman of the apocalypse, relationship apocalypse. When you think you're better than your partner, when you think you're smarter than your partner, you're essentially putting yourself above them. It's very difficult for a relationship to survive that. So having that shift of the mindset of there is a problem, we're going to solve it, not you're the problem, I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you. Let go of all of that. You are a couple and there is a problem. You get to solve it. It's huge. Good point, Esteban.
Yeah, I loved that. Is one of the things that stood out to me during my leadership training was my trainer asking the room, like, are you committed to being right or are you committed to the relationship? Because you're choosing in that moment. And I see the detriment and I see the contempt building from the constant needing to be right, or that makes me wrong, that makes me not good enough, that makes me, all the triggers and all the stories from my past keep coming back to the surface. And so I feel like I'm constantly trying to dig myself out of that. But I love the curious, I definitely wrote that down. The curious protocol is so great when you guys can both be aligned and doing it together. And I think you guys also shared about mirroring. I think Mayan and Angus were sharing about mirroring each other. And I thought those are all really beautiful things to do to really create that connection and stay connected. And when you can look at each other in the eyes without it having expectations of going anywhere else, but just being there in the moment, I think can really level up your relationship, just being still, looking at each other and just holding space for one another. And I just loved everything. I think you guys could go around it. I love sitting back here and having you guys coming back in. I was like, this conversation is definitely needed in the world today. And I loved the right and wrong. I think that was the biggest thing that I heard this last moment. Because that's where we all are in duality. If somebody has to be right, somebody has to be the winner, somebody has to be, because we have winners and losers. And the way that you put it, Angus, was gave me chills in my body because I never heard it put that way, but it really grounded the intention of the importance of not having to choose and commit to being right. So thank you for that. So this last question, because this call is quickly coming to an end, to a close, and this is going to be open to all of you. So whoever wants to popcorn first is great. And it's the final invitation for the couples that are still struggling. So there are couples out there still feeling unseen, unheard, or maybe even disconnected from themselves and the relationship. What is one message or practice that you would want them to know or remember so that they can begin today and come back to each other and to themselves?
I'm going to jump in and kind of tie something you just said, Margarita, that I think will set up a lot of women to have more effective, emotionally connected conversations with their men. Because you talked about eye-to-eye contact, and that's a beautiful thing, but it's especially beautiful for women. And I'm gonna paint a couple pictures here. When you think about women and how they connect and how they talk and how they engage and have these emotional conversations, whether it's sitting in a living room or in the kitchen or over brunch, like they're very intense. They're in the eye contact. They're in it together. But if you think about men, and this goes back to Carl Jung and animus anima type of things, men are stronger on the outside, but typically weaker on the inside. Women are more fragile on the outside, but stronger emotionally on the inside. And so women oftentimes want to have these intense conversations where they're making eye contact and getting their men to open up to them emotionally. And if you think about how men were either created or evolved over the years, when a man is face to face making eye contact with another man, it's typically an intense situation, whether he's in the middle of combat, whether he's in the middle of a negotiation, whether he's in a fight, an argument, a trial, an accusation. Like, eye to eye contact is a dangerous place for a man traditionally. And so oftentimes it is incredibly difficult for him to open up and be vulnerable, because vulnerability exposes a weakness, which gives your opponent the upper hand. And so as a woman, you're wanting him to open up to you emotionally, and you're like, why can't you just talk to me? Why can't try getting beside him? Because throughout history, if we as men are hunting, we're on the same team. We're shoulder to shoulder. We're looking at something. If we're on the football field, we're shoulder to shoulder against our opponent. If we're soldiers, we're shoulder to shoulder facing the opponent. Everything that men do when they are strong, they have somebody beside them facing an opponent. When you are creating that conflict across from an emotional standpoint, like, he feels exposed, he's less likely to open up to you in that moment. So just like men don't necessarily talk a lot about vulnerable things to each other, if they're watching a ball game and they're sitting side by side, they can do that. If they're fishing, they can do that. If they're working on the car, they can do that, because they don't have to make the eye contact. It allows them to disconnect. And sometimes women will judge, like, think he's lying because he can't make eye contact. He'll look away. He's trying to become detached from the intensity of the moment to open up and become a little bit more vulnerable. If you want that vulnerability, if you want him to feel seen, if you want to be seen, take a walk together. Sit on a bench and overlook the ocean or a lake together. Go on a car ride together. One of the places that men will open up the most is on a long, like a car road trip, because now he's focused out. He can sometimes open up more vulnerably when he doesn't have that intense eye contact in front of him. So that's something that, as a lot of our female clients have tried it, they've been amazed at how this man that they thought was emotionally shut down and he never opens up, it's because of the intensity. He's not comfortable doing that. And if you can create a different environment where you don't have the physical eye contact that's intense for him, you can see him open up in new ways.
That's beautiful.
It's probably why we always sit side by side when we go to eat dinner. Actually, well, I like being close to you, but I think that also creates the intimacy opportunity as well.
Yeah. And as he becomes more comfortable opening up and you receive it and you're gentle in your responses to whatever he brings, because he's always going to bring you a test one first. He's going to, like, say something that you feel like that's it. That's all you're going to share. If you receive that with grace and you hold it carefully, then he'll open up a little bit more and a little bit more. But if you shut that down, like, that's so silly, why do you feel that way? He's not going to feel free to open up in the future. And so I have no problem sharing emotionally now. I have no problem with eye contact now, but it's because I'm more secure in who I am than I used to be, but also you've held such great space that I can share pretty much anything with you and know that we're going to be okay. The more of that happens, the more comfortable I can be to have those conversations face to face.
For sure.
You know, what came up for me when you shared that, Angus, was also the importance of not trying to fix it. Let them share and just sit with them in the space instead of trying to provide any solutions. Because I think sometimes they're recoiled too. They're like, you don't understand why it sounds like you're defending the situation instead of being there for them in the moment. So I just wanted to say that.
There's a lady on Instagram who gives advice, and one of the things she talks about is how she has learned that when a man starts to talk, she just shuts up. She's like, I will wait at least a 20 count to when he stops talking, because there's more that he wants to say that he doesn't know if he's going to have the opportunity to say. And she's like, how do you know when to start talking? He'll tell you. He'll be like, so that's it. Like, he'll get to the end of himself and be like, That's it. There's nothing else to talk about. And if you just be quiet, you'll allow him to start to kind of pull open that drawer, that safe that's been locked, and start to like pull everything out that needs to come out until it's like all out on the table. And if you can just be silent and hold that space, you'll allow him to open up, and you'll find a depth to most men that you didn't know was there or you thought wasn't there.
So I have a very different perspective than Angus's that I'd love to share. So when I'm not feeling seen or heard or disconnected, I somehow think that the problem is outside of me. And for me, the problem isn't outside of me. If I'm feeling unseen, it's usually because there's a part of me that's not seeing me, or if I'm not feeling heard, there's a part of me that's I'm not listening to myself. Or if I'm feeling like I'm disconnected, there's a part of me that's not connected. And so the power for me is always to look inside and to see what's the part of me that's not feeling seen, and how can I see it? And what's the part of me that I'm not listening to? Because there's a part of me that I'm not listening to. And what's the part of me that's disconnected? Because there's a part of me that's disconnected. And the more I rely on Brandy or someone else to be that for me, the more struggle I think I'm creating. If I need her to see me in some way, there's some resistance I have, or there's some struggle I'm creating for that to happen, when the power is always inside me to be able to create that for myself.
Yeah. So a practice as well, and just being unheard, is active listening. And I think, Margarita, you also just brought that into awareness, right? Just allowing the other one to share without responding, and just sharing back what you heard. We are so busy. I don't know, I'm ADD, ADHD off the charts, right? It's like, am I present right here? Am I listening to you? Am I hearing you? To repeat that back. So just taking time for active listening practices is really wonderful for couples. And I do want to say that sometimes the couple, the best thing is not to be a couple, is not to be a couple. We all are sovereign beings. We all get to experience love in this lifetime. So to seek outside support, if you need outside support, what are the next steps? What are the next best steps for each individual to live the best life for themselves?
I want to say, Eric, I actually absolutely agree with you. It's always us within. I think my point that I'm trying to make is sometimes we get so wrapped up in that disconnection that we think it's outside of ourselves. And as a partner, as a couple, the opportunity is for us to see when our partner is like spun up, they're in their stuff so much. How do I hold space to allow you to sort through that stuff? If you're super self-aware like you are, like that's something that you get to realize, and you get to do that on your own. A lot of us aren't there. It's like we need somebody to hold that space so that we can go through it. So I completely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I'll add that I feel like so much of our conversation today has been about looking within, and we mentioned landmines. What are the landmines that we have buried that we might not even know are there, that someone else accidentally steps on, right? Or the curious protocol. Like, these are all centered around how can we be responsible for what's showing up and what we're bringing to the relationship, and looking within, so that we're not pointing fingers at someone else. We're actually looking within to see, oh, this is what I still get to heal and move forward and release. So.
And really what I'm hearing is that we get to do the inner work. We get to be there for one another. We get to know how we best support one another so that we can open up. And something that we mentioned before is that, we the same issue kept coming up in our relationship, and we thought we handled it, but it would come up 6 months later, and then it would come up 6 months later, until the point where it's like, okay, I'm beyond my pay grade. Let's go get some support. Yeah. And so we went to couples therapy, but I went by myself because Neil wouldn't go. And so for those couples out there who are at this point where like, okay, I'm committed to having this relationship work, and it's beyond my pay grade, go get support, go get mentoring. And really, I went to this couples therapist by myself the first time, and I came home and he was like, well, what'd you talk about? I'm like, us, you, me. She's like, well, what'd you say? I'm like, I'm not going to rehash an hour, but we're moving forward and I'm doing the work. And I'm like, would you like to come next week? No. So this went on for probably 6-7 weeks, where every time I came home, what'd you talk about? Us. Would you like to come? I would really love for you to come. And so then finally on the 7th time, 8th time, he came. And after having gone to that, you uncovered an unconscious belief about couples therapy that had you so terrified about saying yes. Do you want to share it, or do you want me to? Yeah. Okay. So what he shared was he had this like 100% capital T truth belief that going to couples therapy was the beginning of the end. There was no where to go after that. And this meant that we were broken and there was no fixing it. And it's basically, just getting validation that we don't work. That was the belief about therapy. Well, that was 10 years ago, and we're at a 20 out of 10 now. So I can tell you that belief is like, well, that was just blown out of the water. But the fear and that it was terrifying fear of like, no, this isn't over. This isn't that, this is, I can't go to that, because if I say yes to going to couples therapy, I am now admitting that we are at the beginning of the end. And I just want to express to those people out there who are feeling like, whether you're doing the work on your own or with one another, and you're not exactly where you want to be, and you either or you don't really know what the 10 out of 10 is, go surround yourself with others that inspire you. Go seek out a mentor that you trust and want to learn from to up level, because we can all get there. Like, it is all possible. So I just really wanted to share the value of getting through those hard moments and still being the one. Like, so I just kept going. I could have made him wrong for not going. I'm like, no, I'm going, because I'm learning about myself. And I knew, because I had that trust that we are for and with each other, that of course, there was no doubt in my mind that we're getting a divorce. I'm just up leveling. That's all. It's all good.
And my mindset, I would probably have said we were like an 8 out of 10, which to me is pretty damn good. And it was this, now investigating this, I'm like, we could maybe go up 2 levels, but there's a risk we could go back a bunch. So I think it was just risk. I was risk averse to it, not knowing that, we could get to the 10. And it was more like, it seemed like, it was, it's definitely a big fear of mine that maybe we're, how committed, where are we going with this? Like, what is going to be the end sum of this? And, realizing that you can achieve to be a 10 out of 10, and even more, and realize like I had it great, but it can continue to get better. So it was a mind shift for me, and it took me a while to come around on it, but I ultimately got there. So
Wendy, I want to acknowledge you for like choosing to press in and do the work and not judge him for not going.
Yes.
Because I love, and I always say, when we change, by definition, our relationship changes. Mm-hmm. So like, if one of you grows, you create the opportunity for that relationship to begin immediately changing. And for so many women, it's like they try something and then they expect that immediate change, which then puts pressure on the guy because their judgment, and then he actually rejects it, and then it gets worse. And when you can actually choose to do the work on yourself for the sake of working on yourself, and now, especially this happens for guys, when he can see that you've begun to shift and it's sticking and it's working long term, okay, now maybe there's something there that I'm willing to pursue, because I've seen that your change is sticking and it's lasting. There's so many guys that it's like, I hear you telling me that you've changed, but I see that you're still the same person. And so I'm not going to put in the work and be vulnerable and do that. You being consistent is such an inspiring place for a woman. Like, when you're growing, even if that man is stubborn, so often he will eventually be like, okay, I've seen a difference in you over the last couple of weeks, or I'm willing to look at this now.
Neil, that was me. If you're going to therapy, if you're seeing a coach, you're broken. And I'm not broken. Something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. So the thought of that in the past? Absolutely not. I'm not screwed up. So that was me. And to answer the question, I like that. If somebody is feeling unseen or unheard, disconnected, what's the one message that I'd like to get out? What are like super valuable, important investments that we've got in a lifetime? Like a car, that's pretty important, right? And then I'm going to answer the question for those like listening. They're like, where's he going with this? Strap on, baby. Let's go. Speaking of, when we're in the car, wow, Angus, I'm like, yeah. So I get here and like I blow up, and I look into my past. Yes, I was attacked to whatever level you want to put. I won't share it in this podcast at a very young age. And internally, I'm like, but when we're in a car, it's like, it all comes out. So I'm like, oh, totally makes sense. So going into valuable things, you've got an awesome car, you pay to get it detailed. You're cleaning it, you're washing it, you're vacuuming it, you get the cool little smelly thingy on it. You eventually trade it in. House, got that house. You get a cleaner, same thing. You're vacuuming it, you're washing the windows, you get the yard groomed. But most individuals today realize that at some point they're going to upsize and or downsize. Got it. Okay. Relationship. Many individuals that I've spoken to, when we say I do, when we say yes, I want the Notebook story where we take the last breath together. That's a guarantee. There will be a last breath. And how awesome would it be to live a fulfilled life and create a legacy and take the last breath together? And I get to invest into that to create it. So it's like, okay, so what's the one thing when I feel unseen? There were different answers that were just given. And they were all outstanding, fantastic answers to me. Like I picked something up from each one of you, and thank you for sharing that. So the one thing has been consistent with me tonight. Surround yourself with individuals that have a relationship like what you're looking to cultivate and create. Because one answer may not be the right one for that moment, for the season, for the instant. You're like, oh, I tried it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. Is it my genetics? I don't know. And when I'm surrounded by individuals like you, all are believing that having a coach and a mentor makes sense to create the 10 out of 10. So my past story and belief, like I'm broken and I suck and I'm a loser if I have a therapist or a coach, I believe differently because I'm purposely putting myself around a tribe that believes differently. And you guys are creating something that I aspire to create. So that's my invitation for those listening and for those watching is look for individuals that have what you perceive to be a 10 out of 10, because a 10 out of 10 is going to change for us what we perceive it to be. Then it's whatever I thought was a 12 or a 15 or a 20 in the past is now our regular, our normal, or 10 out of 10. But really seek that. And if you're open for a coach and a mentor, seek them out right now. You may not be. I know in the past I wasn't 10 years ago. Absolutely 100%. Absolutely not. Now, Ryan and Angus, I throw their name out to my audience on a regular basis because I'm like, you get to have a great physical body so you're not triggered because your body's in fight or flight from the junk that we consume, so that we show up great for each other. Yes, a coach or a mentor. Had I not been surrounded by individuals like you, that wouldn't be part of my belief system. So who you surround yourself with shifts what's normal for you and your belief system. That is the one thing that I would say. If you're in a place where you feel unseen or unheard, I'm going to guess that your tribe is not living a 10 out of 10 in their relationship. So you get the secret where that is.
And also, if you want your butt to look really, really good when you wiggle it, talk to Esteban.
We each have gifts.
He's the butt man. Butt and abs.
Thank you.
I love it.
Words from her.
All right. And just like that, The conversation here has come to an end. I am so grateful and honored for everything you shared and all the beautiful wisdom. Oh, my husband just walked in with some.
Boy. There we go.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, hey, nice
I've
work.
been
Timing. That
listening.
was awesome.
Happy
No, good
anniversary.
stuff.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
All right. Well, today's Power Couples conversation was a beautiful reminder that extraordinary relationships don't happen by accident. They are created with intention, devotion, and a whole lot of heart. It begins with knowing what you truly deserve and desire, and then asking yourself, why? Why does it matter to you? Take ownership of your part. Explore the story behind your triggers and design a vision for the future that lifts your values even higher. We got to let go of blame, shame, and guilt, and stepped into the magic of creating safe spaces where gratitude is the norm. Individuality is celebrated and appreciation flows freely. We learned that every conflict holds the potential for deeper connection when we honor the sacred pause, when we breathe to regulate our nervous system, and when we choose curiosity over having to be right. We championed the practice of being intentional in our love, our communication, and our growth. So we celebrated the joy of having fun together, wiggling our butts, and becoming someone our partner is happy to come home to. We also explored the importance of sitting side by side for vulnerable conversations, seeking outside guidance when needed, and also committing not just to a 10-10 relationship, but to a 20-10 love story. The truth is, the problem is never the problem. It's how we show up, how we choose to be, and how we're willing to shift from doing to being. Love thrives when we make it a living, breathing priority. So to all the couples listening, take what lit you up today and put it into practice. Honor the journey. Keep championing each other. And create a relationship that becomes your greatest masterpiece. If this conversation sparked something within you, if your heart cracked open just a little more, if you felt seen, heard, or simply not alone, I would like to ask to please subscribe to our channel and share this with someone. And remember, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Until next time, keep shining, keep rising, keep coming home. Because you matter, you are enough exactly as you are. I am your host, Margarita Rose, and this is Coming Home to You Sparkcast. Until next week, we'll see you. Same time, same Spark channel.